Well, hey YouTube, welcome to the #1 video game related YouTube channel filmed right here in this cell. Hey YouTube, everybody, welcome to YouTube's #1 show about video games filmed in this house. My name is Kyle. Welcome to another episode. This is another, kind of like my last video with my Wii U, kind of a spur of the moment. I didn't necessarily go into this one planned out or anything. I normally plan them out, but this one's totally improv right here on the spot. Just before I go to bed tonight, I'm like, I want to shoot this video. Kind of important to me. So first of all, to Sony and PlayStation in general, happy 20th anniversary. It is December 3rd, well, going into December 4th, 2014. 20 years ago, the original PlayStation came out. And I thought I'd share on this video here, kind of going through a couple of my personal thoughts on the PlayStation series and kind of show off these systems here. And I want to recommend some games at the end, so nothing too special or anything, but if you're a PlayStation fan, you might enjoy this. So yeah, I'll just kind of dive into a couple of things. This is my second time shooting the video. The first one went on way too long, so I'm just going to essentially cut everything. I'm going to talk pretty fast and make this kind of a shorter video. So I wish I could say I've been here all 20 years for PlayStation, but I was a Nintendo fan growing up, and all through the GameCube, actually. My first PlayStation was the PS2, and I got it in July of 2003. I remember that distinctively. And not that, it never really appealed to me, but it's just a lot of the games that I liked at the time were on Nintendo consoles. But I was finally going through stores, like Target and Walmart and Best Buy, stuff like that. I've seen a lot of these great games that I couldn't get on the GameCube. Games like one that really pushed me over the edge was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Oh, I regret trading that game in. But I had, that was one that really piqued my interest. I loved that arcade game, and I couldn't get it on the GameCube. And then I see stuff like Vice City, which was so appealing at the time, and I couldn't get it on the GameCube. And, just kind of a lot of great stuff like that. So I decided I'm gonna go pretty wild and get a non-Nintendo system, and it ended up being this the original fat PS2 model right here. And I thought it was a great investment as well, because at the time, it was it can play DVDs, and I never had a DVD player up to that point, so this was my first DVD player. It was cool. I could play CDs and being backwards compatible. I think that's what really helped sell the PlayStation 2 as well, because it actually ended up selling about 155 million units worldwide, and it is the best-selling video game system. And I think a lot of that had to do with it being backwards compatible. Something that, I don't know if it's the first backwards compatible. I don't think it is. Actually, Atari 7800 could play 2600 games, and that was late 80s. But it was so amazing, because not only did we have some really awesome PlayStation 2 games at the time, but you could play the entire PlayStation 1 library. You could bring controllers from PS1, memory cards from the PS1, and play them on the PS2, and that was so awesome at the time. And when you're done playing games, you could pop in a movie or some sort of DVD, watch that with the family, and then maybe chill, sit on the couch and take a nap or something, play some CDs, hook this up to the stereo, and play some music that way. It was such an ingenious invention, and really is one of my favorite, if not the favorite, video game system of myself personally. Here's the slimmer model. I just got this earlier this year, 2014. I was playing a lot of PS2 games earlier this year, and I thought, this has been with us for a long time, and it still works great. I take good care of my systems, but I got this slim PS2 as well. So it wasn't until after I got the PS2 that I went back and got the PS1, the slimmer PS1. This right here I found actually very great timing. Not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago, prior to the 20th anniversary, I found at a pawn shop of all places an original boxed PlayStation 1. It came with the original console controller, all the power cords, even the instructions and all the manuals and stuff. And here it is, and it's just great timing to celebrate 20 years. I never had the actual original PlayStation model, so that's really cool. But yeah, from there I got the PSP model in March of 2005. I sold my original Xbox, which I always regret doing. I don't like selling my consoles anymore. but to help pay for the PSP again. Being Nintendo only, I only had the Game Boys and Game Boy Advance up to that. But being able to play, console quality games on a handheld, and it could play music and cruise the internet. Not at first. It was, I think, several months later before it got sort of an update, if you will. But yeah, that was my first MP3 player. Then I get the PS3, which is that about a year after it came out, once it dropped down in price. I got that, and it was really the first system I took online. It was my first Blu-ray player and everything. And now, PS4 for, just a great system all in all. So, and Vita I just got, about 2 years ago now with that. But, yeah, that's kind of my experiences with PlayStation. So 20 for most everybody else, only about 11.5 for me. But, thanks to PS2 and a combination PSP at the time really got me into the PlayStation family, and I love it ever since. One thing I do want to note as well before I start to ramble too long, one of the reasons why I really do love the PS3 more than the other systems for the time, and still do, is it introduced me, to a lot of great streaming services, which I have a Sony tablet and phone, and I use a lot. So I use their streaming video and their Play Memories online, their music services. I really do use a lot of their services, as well as Netflix and whatnot. And PS3 really allowed me to do that. But most importantly, I met a lot of great friends playing games online through the PlayStation Network, as well as PlayStation Home, sort of that online Sims type game. Absolutely great. And really good friendships that I continue to still have this day. Awesome people. Not that there isn't on Nintendo and Xbox, but just so many great people from the PlayStation community that I met. Actually, I have the tablet right here. I want to showcase something here real quick, just kind of looking at some stats here. PS1 came out, of course, December 3rd, 94. Ended up selling about 102 million units. Very respectable. It just crushed the competition at the time. PS2 came out March 4th, 2000. Of course, these are Japan release dates where they released first. 155 million units sold worldwide. Is the best-selling console ever. So, and deserves to be so. November 11, 2006 for the PlayStation 3, actually this particular model. And of course, in Japan, February 22nd, 2000. For North America came out first, the PS4, November 15th, 2013. Sorry about that. I was looking at the Japan release date. It came out afterwards in Japan, so. And only about 10 million units for that, but, it's only been a year. It's going to sell very well. So, best-selling games for each of the systems. PS1 was Gran Turismo. PS2 was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, rightfully so. PlayStation 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, rightfully so. That's a masterpiece. And so far, for the PS4, Killzone Shadowfall. So, good choices all around. All great choices, I think. So, and yeah, for those of you who don't know, PlayStation kind of got formed. They were kind of do a sort of a, Sony originally was going to do like a CD-based add-on for the Famicom at the time, but it wasn't something that really came into serious consideration until the Super Famicom / Super Nintendo over here. They were going to do a disc-based add-on for the Super Nintendo called the PlayStation, 2 words. And, you can look online for all this information. You don't need me telling you, but it was essentially a Nintendo PlayStation. How cool would that have been? It would have really added years on to the Super Nintendo, because imagine all the great PlayStation games that came out early on the PS1. Imagine playing them on the Super Nintendo with the PlayStation add-on. It would have been the best console ever created. There would have been zero competition. So, but Nintendo backed out at the last moment and didn't even tell Sony about it. They went with Philips to do some of their add-ons. And, of course, that led to the Philips CDI with those awful Nintendo-type games. While PlayStation's like, we have this great service or this product. Why not try to sell it? So that's where the PlayStation came to be, and ended up crushing the Nintendo 64 at the time, and PS2 crushed the GameCube. But so it's kind of ironic because of Nintendo's kind of last minute switcheroo. We got the PlayStation. Nintendo created their own worst nightmare with this, because they ended up being better selling than Nintendo systems since. So, but I love them both. So, so yeah, that's very briefly nutshell PlayStation history. I just thought I'd share some games here before I go. Then of games that I really like for each system. I'm gonna overlook the PSP and Vita. I'm just gonna concentrate on the consoles here. And are these the best games on each of the systems? That depends. These are just my personal favorites. I'm not saying these are the absolute greatest games on each console. Just games that I've enjoyed playing a lot of just myself personally. Like Gran Turismo for the PS1. All these are PS1 games here right away. Oh, the Street Fighter Alpha 3. That's a fighting game right there. So many great characters, and actually tons of characters. We didn't see so many characters until modern games really came out. So Resident Evil 3, I know the original Resident Evil is the big one there. I don't disagree with that. It's a cool game. Resident Evil 2, loved by many. I enjoy that one too, but 3 is my favorite of this series. Spot Goes to Hollywood. For anyone who's played the cool Spot games, this is kind of a sequel to that. It came out for the Saturn as well as the Genesis, although Genesis has a different version. I'm going to go into that a little bit more. I'm going to do something special with the cool Spot series. Obviously, tons of great Final Fantasies, but I like this, the Final Fantasy Anthology. This actually has Final Fantasy V and my personal favorite in the series, Final Fantasy VI. So that's pretty cool. And if you like those games, I highly, highly, highly recommend Parasite Eve for the PlayStation as well. They did do a Parasite Eve 2 for it as well. That's the game. That's the game. For the PS2 wise, just happened to be playing this. This is pretty fun. Half-Life did make a pretty good transition to the PS2. Sims 2 played the heck out of all the Sims games. I think they work pretty well on PS2. I understand both of those games I just mentioned are meant for PC and are probably better on PC. I get it, but actually play very, very well on PS2. I love the direct control of the Sims 2 in that. Here's another great fighting game, Capcom Fighting Evolution, sort of a Capcom Smash Brothers, if you will. Kind of take a few characters from a few different Street Fighter games, how they look and control in those games, mix them up with Darkstalkers, another great fighting game, Red Earth, which is one I never played, but I like the Red Earth characters in this game, so that's pretty cool. Beyond Good and Evil, amazing story, amazing adventure, one of the best platformers you can get. Not big into skating games too much, but I really, really, really enjoyed and sunk a lot of hours into Tony Hawk Tony Hawk's Underground too. I think it's really wild and crazy, and kind of like the open environments. Obviously, the Ratchet and Clank series for PS2, really good, solid platformers. Anyone needs to play those. And the game that really pushed me to PS2, I loved Vice City, one of my favorite games of all time. How did they do better? Well, a whole state. 3 cities, countryside, desert side, San Andreas. Probably both games 100 hours plus, just in both these games. That's how much I really, really enjoyed it. Moving to the PS3, some games I really enjoyed. Speaking of Grand Theft Autos, Rockstar Games made a couple great games for the PS3 era. Red Dead Redemption and LA Noire. Highly recommend both those games. One's sort of a Grand Theft Horse, if you will. It takes place in the Old West. This is sort of a 40s style detective you solve murders. Great soundtrack and a great story overall. You can't have a PS3 and not have the Uncharted series. I have the second one right here just for show, of course. I think is my favorite in the series. Heck of a story and soundtrack and everything's just so good on that game. Speaking of Half-Life, here's the orange box. Gotta have one of these. Doesn't matter if you have PC or a 360 PS3. Amazing game here. Comes with not only Half-Life 2 and 2 other additional episode add-ons, but Portal, amazing game. Team Fortress 2, amazing game. The orange box, highly recommend. I actually got it when it was new, $50. I remember that distinctively. And in my humble opinion, still worth $50. It's so good. Prince of Persia Trilogy, all 3 of the PS2 era games remastered in HD, has some trophies. Love those Prince of Persia games. One of my favorite franchises around. Speaking of another collection, here's the Mass Effect Trilogy. Mass Effects 1, 2, and 3 in a nice little steel case there. Good to see him on the PlayStation 3. Gotta have Little Big Planet. These are some adorable platformers at the finest. Not Grand Theft Auto, but a game that I really enjoyed a lot of, Saints Row the Third. Kind of like GTA, only a lot more over the top. Really love the characters and story. You can make your own character too. Tons of great customization. Hey, look, the best-selling game of the PS3 era, Grand Theft Auto 5, is sort of a special edition. Comes with some fun things. Masterpiece. Just so much to do. And for the PS4, obviously, I don't have a lot of PS4 games, a couple of shooters, but games I really do like. Here we go with Final Fantasy again. This is online only, but a lot of game there. I'm going to be playing a lot of this over the winter. That's Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, if you're into MMOs. And Final Fantasy, I think that's a really good game. Takes a little getting used to. It's, I don't know how I really want to say it, but it's a little text heavy. There's a lot of story, let's say, so, and a bit of a learning curve. Watch Dogs actually ended up being kind of a fun game. Good story. I'm showing this out because the PS3 and PS4 actually came with a bunch of bonus features and some missions. So if you get a chance to get Watch Dogs, definitely get it on PS4 if you can, or PS3 for some of the bonus stuff. So good story all around. It's an average game, not going to win me awards, but I actually really enjoyed the characters and whatnot. So I appreciate a good story. So yeah, that's basically it. I just kind of wanted to make this video to thank Sony, thank PlayStation for a ton of great games over the years, a ton of great friendships that I've made through their network and whatnot, and just friends and coworkers coming over, and we sat around, obviously all systems, but sat around I think the most with PlayStation systems in the past decade that I've been with the family, and just for a ton of great memories all around. So thank you so much, Sony, PlayStation. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. And we'll return to regularly scheduled videos starting with the next one. So thanks for letting me ramble on about some of my PlayStation memories. Something that I've had a lot of fun with over the past decade plus for myself. So congratulations, Sony. Here's to 20 more great years with PlayStation. Thanks for everything. And thank you. We'll see you next time, everybody. Happy gaming.